Hi, Jess.
Well, that looks good.
Are you ready, Morgan? All right, we're here to discuss, present the Market Street Bridge project. And with us this evening, we have Morgan Festock, Engineering Project Coordinator, Tom Riley, Riley Associates President, Dallas Solomon, Riley Associates, Chad Faraday, PennDOT Work Zone Coordinator, Chris Tomaszewski, PennDOT Liaison Engineer, Ralph DeRusso, Right-of-Way Administrator, Carmen Mancebo, Acting Assistant Portfolio Manager, Jeffrey Hawley, PennDOT Right-of-Way Administrator, and Laurie ESTEVEZ de Jesus, Liaison Project Manager. Welcome, and Morgan, you can start.
Thank you, Council, for having us here today. Tom Riley is going to start with just walking us through the project and what we're going to be moving forward. We're just going to introduce ourselves. I'm Morgan Festock. I work for the city. The city's responsibility in this is design and right-of-way and acquisition for any of the properties that are impacted in this project.
I'm Dallas Solomon. I work for Riley Associates. I'm involved heavily in this project.
I'm Laurie ESTEVEZ. I work for District 4. I'm a liaison project manager.
Ralph DeRusso, PennDOT Right-of-Way Administrator.
Jeff Hawley, I'm Right-of-Way Administrator 1.
Tom Opelka, I'm Design Services Engineer at PennDOT District 4.
All right, thank you.
Just an FYI, the microphones, if the light's on, it means the microphone's on. If the light's off, it means the microphone's off. There you go. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to walk you through the project is on Market Street, which is State Route 6011, next to the intersection of Yard Avenue, and it's a structure that carries the route Market Street over Leech Creek, just upstream of its confluence with Leggett's Creek. And what precipitated this project was the flooding in September of 2023 caused the culvert underneath the road was blocked and caused flooding of properties along the creek just upstream. And there was a house and commercial property just on the upstream side of Market Street, which was in very poor condition prior to the flood that was further flooded. The road, the pictures here on the left side are the washout of Market Street. And there's a few pictures of the emergency work that was done by the city. And the culvert that was underneath the road was actually 4 different types of culvert. There was an extension on the downstream end that was a 48-inch pipe. And then as you can see here, there was a 4-foot wide by 5-foot high stone arch partway through the road. And then when you get towards the other side, there was stone walls with old steel rails from a railroad across as a support that had flat rocks sitting on top under the road. And then just beyond that was concrete walls and a concrete roof that sat under the basement of the house that was upstream of the road. And the city went in with their emergency contractor and to stabilize it underneath the part with the steel and the flat rocks, they put a temporary pipe in, temporary 5-foot pipe that with grout around it, and then they put stone along the banks, and then the road restoration was done, I think, just before Thanksgiving of 2023, and it was paved by PennDOT. And so the city got together with PennDOT, and basically DEP gave the city a temporary permit to put the emergency work in place with a commitment to go forward with a permanent replacement with a structure that was both structurally stable and had adequate capacity. The structure before the project, when it was deemed to be a drainage culvert with responsibility by the city because it was under the 8-foot span that makes it a bridge. Although it should have been, to have adequate capacity, should have been bigger. Once you get over 8 feet, it's considered a bridge. And a bridge on a state road is state responsibility. So what was worked out as a compromise between the city and PennDOT is the city agreed to go ahead and design and permit the replacement and acquire the right-of-ways. And PennDOT then agreed to pay for 100% of the construction phase of the project. And and the parts of the right-of-way that needed for the permanent project, for the project then will be conveyed to PennDOT. And the structure that was just upstream, the 2-story structure was, even prior to the flooding, had a garage that had completely collapsed and was unstable. So the city purchased that structure and that property and demolished it so that it didn't collapse and further block the stream. So now in this process of preliminary engineering and environmental approvals, following PennDOT's protocol, we've coordinated with utility companies, and I'm going to come to the next slide. We've done a sizing of the culvert so that we would pass the 100-year storm, and the culvert is now going to be 8 feet high and 12 feet wide, and a precast concrete with some concrete walls on the upstream of the road to keep the road and utilities intact on Yard Avenue. And then there'll be stone protection in the stream. So basically all of the structure will be done and basically made in the factory and precast. And see, the extent of the project, the red is the amount of the road that's going to get reconstructed. And then on the upstream or south side of the road, there'll be new curbs and sidewalks, and the drainage will be extended up the street. So there'll be a new drainage system in the road, and the extent of the red will be newly constructed road. The purple along the road and yellow are new curbs and sidewalks within that extent as part of the project construction. So from a right-of-way standpoint, the city already owns everything on the upstream or south side, and there's a small permit, there's a property line that goes down the middle of the creek. And there's small property acquisitions for the outlet end of the pipe, which is, basically, there's already is a pipe there, but there's no, like, record of right-of-ways or easements, so they have to be formalized, and some temporary area to access, to get in there and work on it, or sort of a bigger temporary right-of-way, and all of that area will be restored. So what we're going to end up with is structurally stable, much bigger capacity culvert will prevent flooding of the road or the neighbors upstream of the project.
When you say that the road's going to be reconstructed, what does that entail?
That means new pavement, new curbs, new sidewalks.
Okay, anything structurally underneath or just surface?
The road is going to get turned up, so it'd be new base pavement. There's some utilities, so the water company is going to cut off the pipe and feed from the opposite sides, and then put a new pipe in after the culvert goes in. The gas line was already cut off at the time that, so when the flood happened, there was a gas line hanging in the air. The gas company came out the day after the flood, and they capped it off and are feeding that area from both sides and don't need to renew it. And then there's overhead power lines that are going to get temporarily relocated around, because when the culvert goes in, there'll be a crane that will then pick it up and drop it into place. Let's see. The next slide. So the detour will be similar to what happened after the flood. The detour up from Brick up to and around up to Oak. And
Going back, how many residents are affected by not just the traffic, but actually with their property?
I'm going to go back to the slide. So there's a on the downstream side, there's a property that is in the creek that has a very old deed and doesn't have really a current address for it. And then there's a sliver of temporary on a property with West Market LLC, and then there is the Vodovsky property that has a tape and then a temporary where there'll be easements. And then there's curbs and sidewalks and new drainage in front of 4 properties on the south side of the road. And the 2 properties on the north side or downstream side.
So it seems with culvert work, there's 2 to 3 properties, and then with the restoration work, I mean, it encompasses a little bit more, but that's
Yeah.
restoration work.
Yes.
I have a quick question. So now that the structure is going to be larger, does the designation change to a bridge?
Right, so that's why PennDOT is paying for the whole construction phase. So then and then these permanent easements will be transferred to PennDOT. So PennDOT, like from the start of construction through, perpetual maintenance is all PennDOT. So basically, the city takes them up to the bidding of the project, and then the contract for the construction is a PennDOT held contract. The right-of-ways then will be in PennDOT's name, and the bridge larger structure will be owned by PennDOT.
So how many,
And I know the city had attempted earlier when there's some issues with this, a few years ago, to get PennDOT to take responsibility earlier, but after the washout, there was a concerted cooperative effort to get together on the project.
so some of that's going to be a temporary easement just to get access to the area, and then some of it's going to be permanent?
Right. There's Right, there's a permanent on each side of the stream that's small, and then additional temporary for access, which will be restored. And the areas that are in that permanent are already part of the older structure.
And
So-
did we secure all of those easements as of right now, or are we still working on some of those?
So the way the process works with PennDOT working through the environmental review process is that the next steps on right-of-way and final design can't start until there's a public process, which we're having tonight, input from the public, and then completion of the environmental approval by PennDOT. And then once that happens, then there'll be a final design process, of which will include the final right-of-way plan approval by PennDOT. And then the process can begin of formally doing appraisals of any of the property impacts. And, and then and the invitation for the meeting tonight, besides advertising and such, was mailed to neighbors of the project, and some of them are here tonight.
What's the timeline? What does that look like?
Prior to bidding, there has to be the full final design, right-of-way clearances and acquisition, and the completion of the utility relocation design. So the letting is expected to happen towards the end of this year, construction contract beginning of next year, and then the moving of the utilities and the fabrication of the precast at the factory is going to happen during 2026. And then the detour and the physical construction of the culvert are going to happen spring to summer of 27.
Okay.
But I can say the culvert, the temporary work that has more capacity and more structural strength than what's been in place there for the last 30 years. And the dangerous structure that was over the culvert on the upstream side has been removed by the city.
Do you have all the neighbors' contacts here tonight, or could they, if they want to give us their contacts, would you like council to take
Yep.
those contacts so we have them?
So we have a form for people to give their comments on. If anyone hasn't gotten the form yet, they can come up and get the form. And I think if we have, if anyone, with the approval of council, if we could open it up to questions from the public.
Anyone else from PennDOT wish to speak about this at all, Tom?
And I would say as long as it's those directly affected.
So any of the project neighbors want, have any questions?
Well, you've got to come up to the podium, please, so everyone can hear you. Up to here. Tom, the property we took the building down on, that was a giant lot. Are we turning that entire lot over to PennDOT?
They just want the part that goes with the culvert.
So we are going to cut the lot, separate it?
There's going to be a piece that remains.
Okay. Okay.
Because the property is pretty.
I know, I remember it being big, a giant property, yeah. Yeah, I don't know whatever happened to that, but
When this project starts, is there a time limit from start to finish?
Yes, yeah, so as part of the project development process, there's going to be the contractor is going to be given a time limit of which the extent that he can have the detour in place. And that time limit hasn't been decided yet, but there will be a certain number of days that they have to get it done, or there be damages in the contract.
Well, the reason I ask is when the Rockville Avenue Bridge was done, it took about 5 years, and it's not much bigger than what they're doing on Market Street.
I mean, from the time they started the work?
Yeah.
So, well, I think the Rockwell Avenue Bridge is more of a traditional bridge because they had foundations on each side, and, you know, more stream diversion. The Leach Creek, you know, basically runs dry, when
At
it's
times it does, yeah.
when it's not raining out. And then a lot higher percentage of the work for this is basically delivered on the truck. So the time period for this will be in months and not years.
Okay.
So, but it won't be open-ended, there'll be a set time period that the contractor will have to perform within.
All right,
As far
okay.
as the detour.
Okay, thank you.
So is that timeline dictated by the length of time of the detour? And they have to get the work completed within that time frame?
Right, so there'll be,
Over to you, Tom.
yeah, there'll be constructability review meetings that PennDOT and the city will have meetings, where the design team and PennDOT's construction team will go over the detailed schedule, because basically you want to give them a schedule that is achievable, but not too long that it overburdens the neighborhood. So based on those constructability review meetings, and that there'll be a feasible schedule that will then become contractual terms.
Is there anybody else affected from the neighborhood that wants to speak, if you have property that's going to be affected there?
Hi, my name is Linda McCauley. I'm also known as Linda Wadowski, so I'm kind of right here. I live there. My concern, first and foremost, it does need to be fixed. It's horrible. But is there going to be additional meetings like this? So I realize that this meeting, I'm going to have impacts to my home. I'm kind of not fully understanding the conversation and what exactly those impacts are going to be. Will there be additional meetings moving forward, or something that can be provided to me that says, your driveway will not be accessible at all, or, this is the part of your yard that we have to use. I don't like surprises, so I'd like to know step by step along the way of what impact personally it's going to be on me.
So there's going to be a much more detailed, say, enlarged plan right around for each area affected by the project construction. But those details of, so the right-of-way and the plan in front of your house is, be presented to council and PennDOT, and then there'll be contacts directly to you.
Okay.
And, meetings, either at your home or wherever, or City Hall, whatever.
Right.
you prefer,
Okay.
to go over the detailed plans before before the construction spec is finalized, or you're asked to sign off on an easement.
Okay.
All right, so Morgan Festock, she will be your contact from the city, so if you make sure we have her name and your name.
I got a light in my eye.
Morgan will be from the city of Scranton, the one you contact. If you have questions about any of that, she will be able to help you with that.
Okay, and that's wonderful, because that was going to be my next question. Will we be given a contact in case there are issues or problems or things that, we would like some information on?
Yes.
Morgan? My name's Linda. You'll get to know me. That's all. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else affected by this that wants to speak? No? Tom, do you have anything else?
I don't have anything else.
Do not? Is that this side of it, the stuff where all the stone is that where you fell down that day? We had to pull you up out of the hole? Okay.
the lesson is if you see a stone wall after a flood, don't stand up.
There you go. Yeah, it wasn't a good day. Morgan, do you have anything else? Any council members have any questions?
Thanks for your time and having us here tonight.
Thank you.
Tom, I have just one question now. What is the, maybe this was said, what is the anticipated start date for this project?
Well, there's going to be utility relocations probably during the summer of '26. And then the physical start date will be likely in April of '27.
April of '27. So the woman that just came up and spoke, she won't have to worry about her property being impacted till minimally April of '27? Is that fair to say?
Correct, right.
Okay.
And those conversations and review of plans with her will occur, over the next 6 months.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Morgan, will you supply City Council, Mr. Voldenberg, with all of those slides so we can have that here? Right. Thank you. Right. Thank you, Tom. Thank you.